Assalamu alaikum. Dear students, I hope that you are progressing and you are grabbing all these different concepts that we are discussing. I believe that the business side of electronic commerce is relatively easier as compared to the technology side. So the topics like internet marketing or the e-business models, they are supposed to be relatively simpler. Anyhow, we were discussing in our last lecture the concept enterprise resource planning or ERP. I told you that ERP aims at integrating different aspects of a business at a single centralized place. So the departments like manufacturing, finance, accounting, logistics, warehousing, etc. The activities of all these different departments within an organization, they can be integrated through ERP. So this is possible that a customer service representative of an organization can access the financial information pertaining to a particular customer by accessing the finance module. At the same time, the same person can also view the information pertaining to the warehouse, the inventory status, etc. So the idea is that the different types of information regarding the business of an organization, they are integrated, they are available at a single point, at a single place. And that helps, that facilitates in decision making. Then I also talked about the concept electronic banking. So there are many advantages of e-banking over traditional type of banking. And there is a lot of hype about e-banking these days. Mostly Java technology is being used at the back end, where e-banking is being invoked, being applied by the financial institutions. Mainly there is an online site, there is a website, and which allows the customers, the registered users, the registered customers to interact with it, and using that website, the customers, they can know about the details of different transactions that they have undertaken. Besides, they can also request for transfer of funds from one account to the other. The payment of utility bills is also possible very conveniently through e-banking. The advantage to the customers in case of electronic banking is that they can avail different banking services from different locations. Okay, so they are not supposed to visit any particular physical branch in the traditional sense. So therefore, they can avail, they can access different banking services from various places. Say they are sitting at their home or they are in their offices, the different type of customers, they can use different banking services. On the other hand, the advantage to the financial institution, the e-bank, is that it is not required to invest heavily in the development of infrastructure for doing the banking services. For example, it does not require to purchase a building or to erect any infrastructure, to hire any staff as such. The main thing that the financial institution doing e-banking needs to do is that to develop a technologically good website which is efficient, which is user interactive, and then provide different e-banking services. So in other words, e-banking is likely to be more cost effective for a financial institution as compared to traditional type of banking services. Then I would also like to discuss here the concept personal finance online. So there are cases where the customers, they have this facility of certain things, certain financial matters being handled in a very customized manner with the help of certain specific software packages. Right? So in other words, the financial matters of the customers, when they are managed in a customized manner, we can say that that relates to personal finance. The special softwares which can be utilized in this regard are, for example, Quicken, MS Money, Money 2003, etc. What these specific softwares do, they import certain data into specific registers of transactions that they would maintain on a system. When some information is being downloaded from some specific website, some financial information, say, is being downloaded, these specific softwares would use that information and they would put some specific information from there into their register of transactions, and then they can do certain calculations. For example, they can calculate the taxes, they can prepare a financial budget for the organization, they can compute the rate of interest which the customer has to pay on borrowing, etc. So that was about the personal finance online. Then I would like to discuss here the concept value chain. Remember, electronic commerce includes so many activities, and it is difficult to figure out as to where and how these different facilities that e-commerce can provide, such facilities would be beneficially applicable. So in this regard, it is useful that we first of all divide or break our business into different value adding activities. Once we divide our business functions into different value adding activities, then we can more clearly identify or figure out that what type of electronic commerce activities can be usefully applied. In 1985, Michael Porter, who is supposed to be a guru in the area of business studies, he wrote a book titled Competitive Advantage. And in his book, Competitive Advantage, he introduced two terms, that is strategic business unit and value chain. A strategic business unit is a combination of a particular product, some distribution channel, and customer type. So there can be different strategic business units based upon this criteria. On the other hand, a value chain is defined as a way of organizing activities that a strategic business unit may undertake in order to design, produce or manufacture, promote, market, deliver or support the products or services that that particular strategic business unit sells. Right? A value chain involves two different types of activities. So these are primary activities and support activities. We'll just see what primary activities and support activities do. Basically, primary activities relate to the fundamental functions of a business, and the support activities provide some infrastructure for carrying out such activities. In the following example, in the slide, you will see that I have built a value chain in relation to a product that is to be manufactured. What are the various primary and support activities in this regard? You will see in the slide before you. Okay, at the top you can see that there are the primary activities shown. So at the top, design is a primary activity, then manufacture product or create service, identify customers, purchase materials and supplies, market and sell, deliver, provide after-sales service and support. All these activities are regarded as primary activities. And at the bottom, you can see the three support activities, namely finance and administration, human resources, and technology development. The time sequence of the primary activities is ordinarily from left to right. So therefore, before entering into the manufacturing activity, there has to be a design ready for that particular product. Similarly, before starting the marketing and sale, the identification of customers would be essential. Now, first of all, the customers will have to be identified. So in the endeavor to identify customers, different ways to provide better services to the existing customers, they would be developed, they would be figured out, and for that matter, surveys and market research can be carried out by the relevant persons in the organization. Then comes the design primary activity. So all those activities which lead from the concept stage to the manufacturing of a particular product, they are covered under the design primary activity. So here the concept research would be carried out by the relevant persons or the managers in the company, and then the engineering details, drawings or specifications would be worked out, and therefore a design of the product would be prepared or it would be made available. Then third primary activity for the manufacturing of a product would be the purchase materials and supplies. So that means that the procurement of different materials would be carried out, and it would be identified that who are the relevant vendors, what are the qualifications for such vendors, and at what prices the materials are to be purchased, and what would be the delivery time for the materials to be supplied. So all these different activities, they would be covered under this primary activity called purchase materials and supplies. Then once you have purchased the materials, then this material along with the labor would be utilized to manufacture or create a particular product. And here the fabrication activities, the assembling, the packaging of the product, all these different types of activities would be carried out, and we can say that the product at that stage is manufactured, and the primary activity would be manufacture product. Then market and sell. Those activities which relate to different ways in which the products can be sold out to the customers, or which induce or which attract the customers to buy those products, they are covered under the heading market and sell. So different types of advertisement messages, promotional information, and appointment of sales personals, all these different types of activities would be covered under this primary activity, market and sell. Then comes the deliver primary activity. Now the product has been manufactured, the marketing has been done, the product has to be now delivered to the relevant customers. So the activities which relate to the storage of the finished goods, their distribution, their transportation or shipping to the relevant customers. They are covered under this heading, deliver. So the hiring of the shipping company, which is to transport the relevant items, that would be a task covered under this deliver activity. Thereafter, you can see the primary activity, provide after sales service and support. These activities provide installation services, testing services, or maintenance or repair services after the product has been sold to the relevant customers. So the fulfillment of warranties or any maintenance or repair tasks, that would be dealt with under this heading. Now underneath you can notice the support activities, finance and administration activities. These deal with accounting, paying bills, borrowing funds, or complying with certain government rules or regulations. Then human resources. This deals with the management of employees, hiring or recruiting employees, determining their salaries, their compensation, their benefits, etc. Then comes the technology development. Technology development aims at developing technological processes which can improve the product, etc. So any field tests or the maintenance of different technological procedures, all such activities would be covered under this support activity called technology development. You may notice one thing, that the primary activities, they are linked with each other with the help of solid line arrows, and you can see that design activity is linked with the manufacture product or create service primary activity with the help of that solid line arrow. Similarly, identify customers activity is linked with market and sell primary activity with the solid arrow. On the other hand, the support activities, they are linked with all the primary activities with the help of dotted arrows. So you can notice all the different support activities, they are linked, they are associated with the primary activities using these dotted arrows. So they impact all the primary activities in one way or the other. Here I should point out that ordinarily the time sequence of primary activities is from left to right, but this is not a very strict rule. So this is possible that the market and sell primary activity is carried out before the purchase materials and supplies primary activity. But you can say ordinarily there would be a sequence from left to right in case of primary activities. That means that first of all, a particular activity, primary activity would be complete, and then the next primary activity which is followed, that activity would then be undertaken. There is one more thing, that the importance of different primary activities is related to a particular product or service. So this is quite probable that for certain particular products, the market and sell primary activity is relatively more important, so there is more focus on that. And for certain other type of products, the manufacturing activity or the improvement of product during the manufacturing, that particular task is relatively more important. That would be based upon product to product. Which primary activity is more important, that would be determined by the particular type of product or service. There is a term, industry value chain. Various strategic business units, they are linked with each other. Each strategic business unit would have its own peculiar value chain, and all these different strategic business units, when they are associated with each other, they form an industry value chain. So at times it becomes quite important for a strategic business unit to evaluate, to examine, to find out as to what is its industry value chain and where does that particular strategic business unit fit in that particular industry value chain. For example, it can be quite useful for a business unit to find out that what are the different types of activities which other strategic business units are undertaking, and that can lead to the discovery of certain useful opportunities for that particular strategic business unit. It can find out that utilizing these opportunities, that one specific strategic business unit can cut down its costs, or it can improve the quality of the products that it is manufacturing. In the slide, I want to show you the industry value chain of wooden furniture. So you can see on the screen, in the industry value chain of wooden furniture, first of all, the trees would be harvested, the logger would cut down the trees, it would create the logs of wood, and then it would supply these logs to a sawmill. The sawmill would convert these logs to lumber. So using saws, the logs would be cut down, they would be processed, and these roughly processed wooden pieces, they would be called lumbers, and that job would be done by a sawmill. From there, the sawmill business or strategic business unit would supply the lumbers to the lumber yard business or a distributor. The lumber yard or the distributor of lumbers would provide the lumber to a furniture factory, a different business unit, a furniture factory which manufactures or assembles the wooden pieces and manufactures furniture. From the furniture factory, this finished product, the furniture, that would be sold out to the furniture retailer. The furniture retailer would market and would sell the furniture to the market. From the market, the consumers, they would purchase and they would use the furniture, and then after some time, after a few years maybe, the customers would dispose of this furniture, they would abandon this furniture, and this furniture can then be recycled. So you can notice this in fact gives rise to an industry value chain, the industry of wooden furnitures, and there are different strategic business units which are combined here to form this industry value chain. As I mentioned earlier, each strategic business unit has its own value chain. So the sawmill business would have its own value chain, the furniture manufacturer would have its own specific value chain, and when they are combined, they form industry value chain. Examining industry value chain is quite useful because it can provide information about different opportunities that are available. For example, the sawmill business, if it wants to enter into the business of tree harvesting, then it would be quite useful, appropriate for this sawmill business to study its industry value chain. Similarly, in case the furniture retailer who sells the items, the product to the customers, if he wants to become a partner with the transportation line, again that would be quite useful for that furniture retailer to examine closely its industry value chain. In other words, I repeat, the analysis of industry value chain can lead to certain opportunities. So if you travel up and down the value chain, the industry value chain, you can discover, you can find out different opportunities that are available there for a specific strategic business unit. Electronic commerce has a very useful role to play in value chains, and there are 4 main ways through which electronic commerce can have its impact. Number 1, e-commerce can reduce costs, the manufacturing costs or inventory costs, etc. Number 2, it can improve the quality of the product. Number 3, it can provide you an opportunity to reach new customers, new suppliers of your raw material, etc. And number 4, that it can introduce, it can provide different new ways of marketing or selling your product. I give you an example here. Say there is a software developer who has developed a specific software package, and he requires the updates of this software to be distributed to its different customers. Previously, that software developer used to avail the services of software retailers to disseminate this information, to provide the information about the updates of its software package. But when that software developer decides that he is going to use the internet for the distribution purposes, for the distribution of these updates, then that developer realizes that it is going to be very useful, it is going to be very cost effective, and it is going to raise his revenue. Now that software developer is not using the software retailers for distribution purposes, rather that software developer may have a website, and on that website it has placed these updates, and its customers can download these updates from that website directly. So in this fashion, that developer is not incurring the extra cost that he has to pay in terms of commission of that software retailer. He is saving that cost. Therefore, the profit margin for the software developer would be relatively high. So here is an example. Using electronic commerce, a software developer is maximizing his profit. Then it would be quite useful if we discuss the concept SWOT analysis, that is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats analysis. Different strategic business units, they have their strengths, they have their weaknesses, they operate in specific environments, and these environments, they present certain opportunities and certain threats. So examining the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats becomes very relevant, becomes very useful for a business, and that analysis is called SWOT analysis. So in SWOT analysis, normally different questions are raised, and the answers are tried to be found out for such questions. For example, evaluating the strength element of the SWOT, the company may ask that what are the things that this company is doing in a good manner? What are the things in which this company is really good? Remember, for that, the purpose, the vision, mission of the company should be very clear. There should be a clear sense of purpose for the company. And then there should be needed. For example, there can be a factor that this business, this company has heavy financial liabilities. That is a weakness of that company. Similarly, an answer labor in this company, and this forms a weakness for this particular business. In case of opportunities, the question can be, what are the industry trends? Where is the industry moving? The industry to which this particular strategic business relates. Then a question can be, what are the new markets which are really an opportunity, which are needed to be explored? Then what are the new technologies which are coming up, and if the company uses any such technology, there is going to be a big benefit for the company. So the identification of all these different avenues, that is done while analyzing the opportunity element. In case of threat element, while doing SWOT analysis, the company may ask itself that what are the things which its competitors are doing in a better manner. So there would be a more focus on the competitors in case of threats. Similarly, the company can also ask itself that are there any government rules or regulations which are likely to be enforced soon and which are going to hamper the functioning of the company in one way or the other. Similarly, it can also identify any troubling factors, say any new technologies which are coming up and which the company is not in a position to use. They are not cost effective, they require a lot of investment, so that is a threat. Its competitors can use such new technologies, they can afford to pay for using such technologies, the company cannot, so then that poses a threat for the company. Here I would like to give you a very interesting example. Somewhere in mid-90s, a very famous computer manufacturer direct to not catch or assistants. They are educated, they know what they want, so they can specify their own specifications, and based upon those they can build their own computers through that website. They can configure their own computers, and the result was really amazing. The result was that through telephones, through internet, many customers, they placed orders for computers to that company. They sold these computers directly from that company. They were able to configure different components of a computer machine, and they found it very attractive that they can specify their own configuration and they can build their own computer. So in this fashion, this particular brand, it really defeated its competitors. It realized its weakness using the SWOT analysis, and it overcame its weakness. It realized an opportunity that the customers, they are knowledgeable, and they can configure the computer themselves, and then it capitalized upon that. So the SWOT that computer company did, I can show you a little bit of that on the slide. You can see strengths. It identified its strengths that it can sell directly to the consumers. Then it also identified its strength that it can keep the cost of computers below the competitors' costs. In relation to weakness, it identified that it does not have any strong relationship with computer dealers. Opportunities. The opportunity was that consumers know that they want to buy, they are knowledgeable, they are educated people, and they can specify their own configuration. And then it also realized that internet is a powerful tool. Internet could be a powerful marketing tool, and it can really use that tool for selling. Threats. Competitors have stronger brand names. They are already well-established brands. They are well known for their quality product. Second, competitors have strong relationships with computer dealers. So these were the threats that it identified, and based upon the SWOT analysis, then it built its business strategy. There is also a term used in the business world, that is the supply chain. Supply chain involves all those activities which are associated with the flow and transformation of goods from the raw material stage to the stage of finished products and their onward sale to the end customer. So all different types of activities which are related to such a transformation of goods and their onward sale to the customers, that would be called a supply chain. A supply chain can be divided into three parts, namely upstream activities, internal activities, and downstream activities. Upstream activities relate to the inputs from the suppliers, say the availability of the raw material to prepare a finished product. Then internal activities, they are the organizational activities like assembling, fabricating, packaging of the end product, etc. The downstream activities, they are related to the distribution or sale of the items to the end customers. So I can give you an example here. You can see on the slide there is a milk processing unit. What would be a simple supply chain for this milk processing unit? At the top you can see there is the supplier of unprocessed milk, the milkmen. They supply the milk to this processing unit. Then the processing unit, it has got the facility, it processes the milk, and the processed milk is then to be put into packages. For packaging, you can see down below that there is a lumber company which has a contract with the corrugate paper company, a corrugate paper company that manufactures boxes, paperboard, etc. So the corrugate paper company gets its raw material or supply from the lumber company, and then it manufactures, it prepares boxes. These boxes or the paper boards, they are used for packaging purposes and they are supplied to the milk processing unit. You can see the arrow from corrugate paper company. The supply of boxes is made for packaging. The lumber company may also supply the input to a label manufacturing concern. So where there is a paper label which is to be put on the boxes, then the lumber company can make a supply to the label manufacturing concern. It would print the paper labels according to the specifications of the milk processing unit, and then would make the labels available for packaging. So the processing unit would be then in a position to package the processed milk and label the packages. This packaged milk is then distributed. The distributors, they pick the packaged milk and then they place these packets of processed milk in different stores, and the customers, they can buy the packaged milk from these different stores. So that was a simple supply chain for a milk processing unit. There can be value chain in supply chain. So engaging and negotiating with suppliers is quite useful. So where the suppliers are induced to engage with a strategic business unit and they form a network in this fashion, that may be called a supply chain management. In other words, the process of working with the suppliers, engaging the suppliers to improve the processes and to improve the products, that process is called supply chain management. Right? Now, the companies, they are going beyond their organizational structures. They are forming networks with their suppliers. They are creating extranets for that matter. The idea is that in this fashion, forming networks with different members of the supply chain, they can serve the end customers better. So the approach to serve the end customers in a better way, that is called the ultimate customer orientation. And the primary aim of supply chain management is this ultimate customer orientation. The benefit should pass on to the end customers through this supply chain management. I may point out here that today it is a very normal practice for the businesses to enter into long-term relationships with different members of the supply chain. They can have a small group of suppliers who are really capable suppliers, who have the proper infrastructure. So forming such supply chains which are efficient, that is quite a normal thing these days. Internet has revolutionized the process of supply chain management. You may notice that communication is a key element in supply chain management, and internet is one such tool which is very effective as regards quick and effective communication. So there is a great trend of utilizing internet technology in supply chain management. This is something we'll discuss in our subsequent lecture. Let's summarize what we have done today. Briefly, we have discussed the concept value chain. Then we have moved on to discuss the industry value chain concept. I gave you the examples. Then we have also discussed what is meant by SWOT analysis, and I gave you an example using SWOT analysis how a particular computer manufacturing company really benefited. We have started our new concept, that is supply chain and supply chain management, and in our subsequent lecture I'll give you examples how the internet can play a very powerful role in effective supply chain management. We stop here. We conclude our lecture for today. Allah Hafiz. Assalamu alaikum. We are still discussing the business side of electronic commerce, and let's summarize what we did last time. We discussed the concept value chain, and I told you that value chain is the way in which an organization organizes its different activities to design, to produce, to market, to deliver the product or the services that it sells. And I told you that there are two different types of activities which are undertaken in this behalf: the primary activities and support activities. Primary activities are the main activities that an organization or a company would perform, whereas the support activities, they provide the infrastructure for the execution of the primary activities. Then the concept called industry value chain. I told you that different strategic business units, they can be associated with each other, each having its own value chain, and they can get associated with each other to form the industrial value chain, right? So I gave you the example of the industry value chain of the wooden furniture, tables, chairs, etc. By analyzing the value chain and applying